Alright, it's kind of howling a gale outside. Hopefully the noise of the wind isn't going to show up on the recording, but I guess there's not much I can do about it if it does. That being said, we're hopping into Unicorn Pack and I'm going to try and get a 5 of a kind in this run. And I was going for all the different early game pets, just depending on what I got. And here we level up turn 2 and I get Bigfoot. So I was targeting Bigfoot, Frost Wolf, Ghost Kitten. I'm sure there were others that I can't think of off the top of my head. I did have a few attempts at Mermal, although I guess with the Cyclops change, it's maybe a little bit more difficult to do that. So, yeah, 5 Bigfoot. I don't know, is the plural Bigfoots, big feet? I'll let you decide in the comments on that one. But most of these early game runs were the same, where I would try and get Baku level 2. Baku is actually an incredibly strange tier 1 because its ability doesn't work until turn 4, because you can't get weakness or any ailment onto your pet before that point. So now we're on turn 4, we can go for the wall chicken onto the Bigfoot at the front, and then the Baku is going to provide a little bit of health scaling to try and propel us further into the run. Now, Bigfoot, although I think most people agree it's a very strong unit, clearly it was stronger when it had 5 health. But it is a strong unit, but stacking multiples really isn't all that beneficial. The amount of rolls that you can generate, clearly it's good to have extra rolls. However, pretty much all the pets that could benefit from rolling have been toned down. So Mana Hound was one, and what else? I'm trying to think of the others. Nessie. Those pets have stricter limits on them now. So really going for more than one Bigfoot just doesn't really work a lot of the time. Actually, here is Andy. I'll link to his channel in the description. I don't know if he managed to get the run he was going for. It was something to do with Visitor. But maybe if you check out his channel, you'll have a look and see. So we're going to take the level up on the Bigfoot here because clearly we are interested in Worm of Sand, which I don't think it was buffed in the update because, it's pretty bad. But you can see here, I used the Unicorn one last time to get the extra stats from the Wall Chicken, and then we're just going to roll and allow the 2 Bigfoot on our team already to guarantee get the stats. If we keep the Unicorn is going to leech some of those buffs every turn. And unfortunately here we face one of the worst pet designs of all time, Axehound, and it one-shots the Bigfoot. I feel like Worm of Sand is really strange because if you think about it, in this pack, it's one of the few pets where, I guess Rock is another one where it really benefits you to take multiples, but having multiple Worms of Sand feels like it's almost necessary because you're wasting so much gold to get a tiny amount of buffs. If you think about it, you have to pay, if you don't have free rolls from Bigfoot, you have to pay 6 gold for the equivalent of a level 1 penguin buff. And technically, yes, okay, it's better in the sense that you can do it more than once per turn, but to do it more than once per turn, you're spending 12 gold, or 12 gold plus free rolls, depending on how you want to look at it. And any Worm of Sand game basically degenerates into this, which you see at the moment, which is just spending all the gold and free rolls to trigger the Worm of Sand, and then freezing stuff in the shop, and you very quickly end up with an entire shop of frozen pets. I think here the Mermal might have done us a favour by jumping forwards, because I don't know if that would have been a tie otherwise, but thankfully we save one of our lives, because we're probably going to need it later on. This team is not good. We have no combat abilities, we have very, very poor scaling. If you think about the level 2 Worm of Sand here is giving 2 twice. So essentially it's 2 pairs for 6 gold, which is basically the same as just buying 2 pairs. It's just awful. And I'm freezing every Bigfoot, Chocolate, and Worm of Sand. And we're just going to hope that we don't face more Axehounds because we're just going to automatically lose to those teams. And that is generally a theme in these 5 of a kinds, but you do find the later you go into Unicorn, the fewer people keep Axehound, because a lot of teams do not have duplicates. Most teams are going to be, a jump squad where every pet is different. They have Frogman plus Brain Cramp, Drop Bear. They have one of each usually, and it doesn't really benefit you to have multiples. Same with, Minotaur and Tatzelworm. Having more than one of those doesn't really make a lot of sense. So there's a very limited spread of teams as we face that exact lineup I was talking about. There's very few teams late on that are going to have lots of duplicates. So people do tend to eventually give up on the Axehound, and you generally get a freer ride the later you go. So yeah, again here, the gameplay, unfortunately, for this is very, very dull because it's just rolling. I can't really buy anything. Maybe I should unfreeze the chocolates here and just look for cornucopia. Now that we're maxed out on Worm of Sand levels, it's probably not worth spending the chocolates to try and get more free rolls. The bigger our units get, the less likely it is that all the Bigfoot are going to faint. And I think here we are going to, the one at the back, which is there just to absorb a hit from Crisp or Drop Bear, doesn't even faint, so we're not going to get any free rolls from it. And here I have exactly 12, 7 gold plus 5 rolls is 12. So we can trigger the Worm of Sand twice, but we can't buy anything having bought the first chocolate. So you can see there I finally give up on the chocolate. And we're just going to look for cornucopia. Because finding melon or what's another tier 6 food? I mean, I guess mushroom does work on Bigfoot, but I don't think it's super valuable at this stage. As we get demolished by this ailment team, I do feel like the pack has a huge number of ailments and just not enough ways to defend against them. So maybe that's something that they can look at in the future. Now there actually we roll past the cornucopia, but thankfully I get another one on the next roll. So we do luckily find a melon for the front Bigfoot. And yeah, I guess pita bread is another one that would be okay. Very common squad here. Lots of people still playing these warg teams. Generally, I don't think it's clearly broken as a tier 1. But once you get to the late game, you should really be transitioning away from the warg and into, Sea Serpent or Chimera or one of the other mana spending pets that is going to do a bit more damage. I mean, I guess the warg is doing a ridiculous amount of damage, but it's all in little tiny increments. And I don't know if anyone's actually done the sums on that. Maybe in Unicorn, it isn't possible for the warg to do as much damage as the Sea Serpent. I'm not sure. But in any case, when you get late enough and you do have a lot of stats, you're kind of happy to see a warg team, which is a weird thing to say. So another cornucopia, and miraculously we get a second melon. Now usually I like to put the second melon in the middle because lots of teams are going to have Tiger Bug, which is going to mean that the second position unit gets sniped. So generally better to have pita bread on it or just no perk. Or maybe steak, I guess. Unfortunately, because of the nature of Frogman. Okay, here's a Sea Serpent team. So 17 mana, and they kill those 2 units at the front. It's just fortunate that we have a very wide-scale team. In fact, was that? Yeah, of course, the Sea Serpent removed the melon and then one-shot the Bigfoot with 27 health. And that was only 17 mana there. So we're stocking up on cornucopias. We're rolling for a Worm of Sand. It's so dull, but it feels like you have to do it because your odds of hitting the melon on the cornucopia isn't great. So at the end here, I'm just waiting for the point at which I can sell the Worm of Sand, and then I'll spend the gold on the next cornucopia. So there we are, 9 wins, 1 heart. I think I'm going to do 1 round here of rolling for the worm before I sell it. Probably should just buy the cornucopia. Maybe actually it's better here not to roll at all. and just buy both cornucopias to give myself the highest chance of finding an additional melon. Because you got to think that's worth more than the +3. Okay, I'm actually going to roll twice. So we did get an extra +12, 12 I think it was there, but probably a bit suspect. And I end up getting mushroom, which I'm going to put on the base stats Bigfoot at the back. So can this team do it on turn 17? It's another sea serpent team, but this is a really odd construction. They have sea serpent at the back with fur-bearing trout. So because its stats are so poor, it's only going to generate 3 mana, which does only 6 damage. Very, very lucky there, I think, to face that kind of oddball team. I think there were a lot of lineups that would have very easily taken care of our Bigfoot squad.